I'll start in the order that the band's rang, and if you like, I'll give a reverse order at the end as to how it's scored, which I think I've already lost. But so you might think about that.
Just one thing. There was a change in the order of 6 and 7.
What does that
No, that
mean?
makes you
No, just
not for me.
no, fine.
Or do you want me to?
No.
7
Don't confuse
No. Just ignore it. Forget I said that.
Answers on that.
Forget I said that.
So I'll let you know it's bad.
Yeah, that was just to get clarity in my mind.
So hang on a minute, I'm confused now, Barry.
No, forget I said that.
Okay, I will do, right. Okay, band 1 had a very steady rhythm overall. I thought all the leading was really nicely defined, with lovely open hand strokes and nicely closed back strokes. Every one of I thought was very, very good. Some of the dodges in my mind felt a little bit laboured and upset, but only a little, I thought. Overall, it was a very, very nice piece of ringing indeed. Band number 2, well actually, can I stop myself there? I did want to make another observation actually before I start, because it's the first thing I've written on this, and it's the first on 4 or 5 of them. Virtually all of the bands, when it came to the test piece, or start with the practice piece, I should say, well, sorry, practice piece, I think every band utilised the time very, very well, and it was exceptionally well disciplined. Sometimes you go to these competitions and people are practicing for as long as they actually feel like, and here it was clearly on the 2 minutes. But it occurred to me after 6 or 7 bands had run and they all did the same thing, I thought I can see why you're doing it. I made an observation to myself that every band rang an awful lot of rounds at the start of the test piece. And I'm sitting there sometimes thinking, are they going to start? Is what's happening? But then I thought about it, well, hold on a minute, you've only actually got 2 minutes to practice, which is not a lot of time. Now, I know that there are no faults given for that, but it's just an overall observation, and I personally would be, and it's a difficult one because of the short time of the practice time, but if you were in a competition where the rounds were judged, or even where there is no specifying in the rules not to judge the rounds, which there are in here, you may A, pick up faults, or B, it can be a little, what are they doing? And if the judge kind of goes, I'm still waiting for the test piece, I'm still waiting, but I can see why that was done here today. So nobody's been marked down because of that, obviously, but it's just an observation, and the reason I've mentioned it is because it would be the first thing I say about most of them, but I'll probably leave it now. Right, so band 2 had a very confident and assured sounding piece of ringing. The rhythm was really good. It picked up very, very few faults. Just from a very personal perspective, and it is really picky, had it been pushed on just that little bit more, I think it really would have sung, but it was a really, really cracking piece of ringing. I enjoyed that very much. Band number 3. Again, I've written it, so there were quite a lot of rounds at the beginning and a very few at the end, but we all did that, so don't worry. This was a very good effort by what I thought was a slightly less experienced band. It settled really well in the middle before it got a little bit upset towards the end, but I think that it was very pleasant to listen to nonetheless, and I've made an additional note by saying that I think that every member of the band made a very good effort at leading, which is so important to keep the rhythm going, so that was good. Band number 4, this is a good effort again, ran plain courses, but I think it at least attempted a method which was really good. Some of the leading I thought was a little rush and less defined, and it did pick up a little more faults unfortunately for that, but I think overall not at all unpleasant piece of ringing. It was good. Band number 5 got off to a bit of a cautious start, but I think it settled quite happily into some really nice ringing, and the rhythm was a little laboured in places, but overall I did think it was a very nice piece of ringing again, as was everybody's, to be fair. Band number 6, this was a steady and cautious piece of ringing. I felt it could have benefited from being a little bit more spirited, is the word that I chose. Some of the hand-stroke leads were a little too open, but what have I written there? But there was I thought this particularly, listening to this band, I felt that they were really listening to what they were doing, and there was a lot of effort going into keeping it right, which is what it's all about. So again, it was a good piece of, good piece of writing. Band number 7. There were a few mistakes, but this band recovered well and reasonably quickly, which was a real credit to them, to be fair. I felt it was a less experienced band, but it was demonstrating a really good understanding of what they were doing and a good ability, especially where it was coming right when it was getting a little bit upset. So well done on that one. Band number 8. It got off to a really good start, I thought, but then it wasn't quite so good. It's clearly, again, there was a lot of effort going into this piece, and it came round at the end of each course well, and you kept it going, which I thought was very good for what I felt was a less experienced band. Band number 9. The piece was very steady. I felt very steady ringing, perhaps even cautious, and I felt that perhaps a little bit more of a relaxed approach to it would have benefited it a lot. But I think, again, overall, there's so much effort going into what was being rung this afternoon. It's understandable that that's why it was how it was. I think if the leads were kept a little bit more consistent, it would have helped the rhythm quite a lot, because it did make it a little bit unsteady. Sadly, towards the end, it nearly collapsed, but I felt that it was recovered well and it came into rounds, and I think that you did well. I think a lot of bands probably would have been completely put off by that, but you weren't. So that was good. So I think overall, an excellent effort, and it was very pleasant. A couple of hours in the churchyard, to be fair.
Brilliant. I'm glad the weather kept on.
So am I. I have the results. Do you want them in reverse order?
Yes, please. Yeah.
Okay. A little bit, just a very little bit on my marking. All I really do is score a fault for, or perhaps 2 faults if it's particularly bad, but a fault for every row. So if you make 4 mistakes in the same row, you're not going to pick up 4 faults. You're likely just to pick up 1, because otherwise, we start getting into 12-bar stuff, and we don't want to be doing that.